Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner, episode number 229. This is our official 4th anniversary of the show, and tonight we're going to be splitting this in half. We're going to be talking about our past 4 years, which is crazy, and we will also be celebrating the film It Came from Outer Space, the classic 1953 films. And we're going to be also paying tribute to Barbara Rush, who sadly had passed away last weekend. So with me tonight, to take a look back, is my friend, my co-host of all these years, Mr. Ross Amico. Ross, welcome.
Thanks, Roy. Happy anniversary.
Thank you, Ross. I should also have said my good friend, too. Many years.
At least 4.
At least 4.
Or maybe that's when the friendship ended. I'm not sure.
And I want to apologize, folks. This show would not be the show if, and of course, being late to our own anniversary episode, of course, because of connectivity issues.
Connectivity issues, and the fact that I was at a show this afternoon in New Brunswick, so I just got home. Hi, everybody.
That was Ross waving as he was passing you by at 90 miles an hour.
As I'm texting Roy at what time was that? I'll be there at 6:50.
Which is really 7:50.
Which is really 7:03.
Yeah. Anyway, we appreciate everybody understanding and being patient, and so we'll try to be punctual when we actually do the season 5 opener next Friday, but don't count on it.
We'll be punctual with our sign off.
We probably won't be punctual with that either, Ross. Anyway, I want to say hi to the folks that are out there, and I see Matt's out there, and of course Matt is saying, "Hey guys, the 7:15 p.m. countdown was thrilling." And I'm not even going to read his comment about false advertising, so there you go.
Well,
hey, Martin. Martin is joining us from New York. Welcome, Martin.
Hey, Martin.
Randy's out there. Randy's joining us from San Antonio, and he said, "Chasing the eclipse."
Yeah.
It's
coming.
Tomorrow is only a day away.
There goes the rest of the audience.
Yeah, there we go. The YouTube algorithm will be turning us off, and it won't be for copyright infringement. It'll be for bad singing.
Yeah.
Bill is out there. Hey, Bill, thanks for joining, and thank you for the congrats as well. And let me see here. Lou is joining us. Lou is joining us from Rhode Island. He's saying happy anniversary. Thanks.
Thanks.
I see May's joining us from Canada. Welcome, May. Great to see you out there. And James is also joining us. James is joining us from Australia. Welcome, James. And Shari is also joining us. Saying, I would think you positive you started on time. Yeah, that's my line. And Don is joining us from Delaware. Welcome, Don. Great to see you out there as well. Let's see. Brennan saying, seems like just yesterday to me that you were talking about seconds. Happy anniversary, guys. No, thanks. Yeah, it was like seconds ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. It wouldn't be Martin saying it wouldn't be Roy's Sci-Fi tie-dye without being a little late. Yeah. Oh, right. Wow. And Matt's saying Ross is like the aliens. All he needs is a time.
All he needs is time. Right. Like in the movie.
Yeah.
All he needs is a few hours.
Just a few hours. All we need. Dennis Chevalier is joining us from Canada. Welcome, Dennis. Thanks, everybody, for being out there. We really appreciate it. And yeah, so what we're going to do tonight is we are going to break this down into 2 halves. The first hour, which is only going to be probably like the first 48 minutes now, or 47 minutes as I'm looking at the clock. We are going to just look back on some of the, discuss some things from the past of episodes we've done. Honestly, 4 years is a lot. And it's kind of crazy because it was fun to go back and look at some of the things that we've done and It's really scary. I've actually forgotten about some of the things that we've done. I don't
Oh,
know. I don't know if that's a Freudian comment or not, but
yeah, I don't know. All I know is I joined as a young man, and now I'm an old man. So it's worse than being president, Roy. It's aged me. These
I
4
know.
years.
What's really funny? So
Yeah.
Bruce from Canada, I don't know if Bruce isn't out there right now, but he goes, "Oh my!" Because what I did was I posted on the show's page a video, the first promo that I did for the show, and it was like March of 2020, and he said, "Oh my God, Roy, you look so young." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "Yeah, well, last 4 years aged me."
It's been a rough 4 years on the show. Yeah. Too many
Wait,
Santa Claus conquers the Martians. Yeah.
waiting for Ross's connectivity to come through, let alone mine.
Yeah. A lot of friction. A lot of friction behind the scenes here. Yeah.
A lot of creative involvement.
Differences.
Bill is saying good afternoon from Hollywood. Happy anniversary. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Very cool. And Dennis saying, hey, Martin. So yeah. And one of the things is before we actually get started on all this, yes, Ross and I matched for once. Yeah.
I know. See, no button-down collar tonight. I'm here, Roy. I'm the support.
That's how I know this is an anniversary issue, because it's the only time Ross will wear his shirt.
4 years and all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
That's the quote of the year.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
for the folks out there, when was it? It was on Friday, Ross, I guess, that we got hit with the earthquake.
Was it Friday?
Was it Friday?
Is that what knocked you out?
Yeah. No. When was the earthquake? Was
it Thursday? It was earlier. Yeah, I thought, because you were out for a couple of days.
Well, no, the earthquake isn't what knocked out the power. What knocked out the power was the bad storm we had on Wednesday.
Wait until the devil comet comes sweeping by in the eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be next. Yeah, that was crazy though. 4.8 magnitude.
So it knocked out the power. It's my second earthquake, Roy, that I remember. Did you feel the aftershock? I didn't feel the aftershock.
I did.
Okay. I was here vacuuming, and I think I missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really weird because, truth be told, Ross and I were actually texting. I had just got into the car. I turned on the engine, and I checked my messages. Ross had messaged, and I was messaging back. And all of a sudden, I felt the car like swaying, and then I'm thinking, what just happened? Did we have like a windstorm or something? Or, it was like, whoa, that was pretty, because the wind has been really pretty intense around here lately. I mean, we've had our moments. And then out of nowhere, you're like, what the heck just happened? I think we had an earthquake. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, well, when everything just kind of was grinding for a whole minute. It's like, I think it's an earthquake. It was like, when I was in Philly and they would repave the streets, they always had this giant behemoth go down the street on tongues of flame, and it would grind up the street and like lay down fresh blacktop. It was like that, except I don't have any roads back here. So, and I was sitting in the kitchen working on the computer, and there was a fox out back feeding under the bird feeder, and the fox like froze and he ran off into the woods, and it's like, I think we're having an earthquake.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. Unfortunately, I mean, Marblehead and Squeaker were, they were both okay, so that was good. But it was just, and then Sherry and I were texting about it, and it was, she said that, and then what I did was I went online, and then of course I saw everybody, chiming in about what had happened. David Hirsch, he had mentioned that they had the earthquake in New York City.
Yeah,
I threw the post up there about it. It was just really bizarre.
Well, we'll talk about feeling like you're entitled, like you're privileged. You go online to see, okay, so it was where did it originate? What's going on? And you go on, and of course, all it is the earthquake the day before in Taiwan, where you see buildings fell over and stuff. It's like, and we're talking about, we had a little shakeup, but nothing
for like 5 seconds.
yeah. Thankfully, nothing too horrible. Didn't knock out the power or anything.
No, our power was already
knocked out. Power was already out.
You can't make that.
A butterfly came by and wagged its wings a little bit and knocked your power out.
You really can't make it up.
You got to get a generator.
I know.
I know it's easier said than done, and they're maintenance, and they're expensive, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just the whole gambit. But
yeah,
anyway, that's pretty much what happened with that. And then yes, you were asking about the aftershock. So at 6 p.m. I did feel the aftershock. In fact, it was just really weird because I was like, what? So
yeah, totally missed it. Isn't that funny?
Bill's saying, yeah, it is actually. Well, that and a lot of people actually missed the first earthquake too because
Yeah, yeah,
it just depended on your situation. He said
yeah.
we have the best ones in here in California. Now I'm
Yeah, well,
sure.
those are real earthquakes.
Yeah,
That's when
exactly.
your whole state falls in the Pacific. Yeah.
Dennis is saying I've been in three. I remember one moved my desk chair like wow, that's pretty intense. That's really intense, Dennis.
Mhm.
Yep. Don and I, yeah, we were texting during the aftershock. That's right.
Is there a time you're not texting?
Well, no, it was Shari and myself, and then Don. We were texting. In fact, we were talking about the earthquake, and then the aftershock happened.
Nat felt nothing.
There
Yeah.
you go.
He's dead inside. Yeah.
Uh, we need
Coffees.
another coffee shop outside broadcast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the weather's getting to the point where you'll be able to sit outside Panera again.
Yeah, there you go.
Should get him to
We're,
underwrite the show.
we're
Yeah.
we're warming up to that. We are
Yeah.
warming up to that.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of it, have you been hearing the other thing about this? I'm just gonna. So, to your point, what you were saying before. So this earthquake was in New Jersey, and in fact, it was probably like 20 miles away from here. I've been hearing reports of Tewksbury, and then also Lebanon, New Jersey. So that's like right up the road.
Yeah.
4.8, and then on Monday, we've got the solar eclipse coming, and
Yeah.
a lot of people out there are making the connection, saying, "Wait a minute, it was a 4.8 magnitude." And the solar eclipse is taking place on 4/8. Ooh.
Oh, well, there you go. That's all you have to do, Roy, is fuel your viewership just just shot up into the 100,000s.
We just went viral, Ross.
Yeah, yeah. We'll just shift our focus to conspiracy theories. That'll be great. I'll have certain family members watching, I'm sure. Who shall remain named? Yeah.
It's been a rough week. It's been a rough few weeks, so it's good to laugh.
So we have this one, the flooding, and the devil comet, and we'll be fine.
Oh shoot!
Some more torrential rains. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that rainstorm took place 8 minutes after 4. There you go. We'll tie it in some way, Ross.
Yeah, there you go.
4:08. There you go.
I'm sure there's some kind of math you could do.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brendan is saying eclipses, pandemics, earthquakes. What is the world coming to? Exactly.
Send in the murder hornets.
Yeah, exactly. Too, Ross. And Liz said, just wait till we lose the moon.
Lose the moon.
Yeah.
Am I too dark? I mean, I am dark, but I mean,
you are dark.
My image is darker because there's a bulb out up here, and I should probably replace that at some point.
You're not as dark. You're not as bright as you usually are, but
well, that goes without saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Once you start leaning back, Ross, I know it's downhill from there.
It's true. It's going to be a very complacent evening. I'm just totally withdrawing. Whatever, Roy.
Oh shoot! So
yeah, sorry, no hoagies tonight.
No hoagies.
No, I grabbed some falafel on the way home. So
Matt said, "Look for the Star Child."
Look for the Star Child, exactly.
1968. Yeah, 56 years ago.
Mm.
So anyway, with all that said, I thought I would share some slides, and we'll take a look back on some fun moments. These moments are actually I captured during the first season, and it's when we were pretty much getting our mojo going. So actually, oh, Deborah's joining us. Hey, Deborah, thanks for joining. She's saying, got here a little late, doggy duty. Sorry, I'm here for the long haul. No, that's okay.
That's okay. We were a little late too.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, exactly. So you're not even late, Deborah. We started at 7:15. But anyway,
all right here for you.
yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, here's some fun moments back in the day.
Back in the day.
Family,
Oh, there's Rye. Yeah.
when he was on, and when Rye was on, we talked about live action Saturday morning sci-fi shows of the 1970s. Actually, that's something I do want to go back and talk about more, Ross. Just the Saturday morning cartoons or even the live animation shows. I mean, maybe we could, really try to pin it down to maybe one specific one.
Well, we did ISIS.
We did do ISIS, and
Yeah.
Ryan and I talked about Arc 2. We talked about what was it? Jason of Star Command.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be fun to revisit. Saturday mornings were, I mean, that was a pivotal time, especially in the 70s.
Right, when we were growing up. Sure. And then you guys also did Logan's Run.
Yes, that was actually wasn't
that a Father's Day episode?
What was that?
I think you did that for Father's Day. I think it was a Father's Day episode, wasn't it?
It was. Good memory, Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun choice for Father's Day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Sherry and I and you, we did we celebrated Soylent Green.
That's right. And then I think that's when the whole thing with the shower sequences, the shower scene made its first appearance, I think.
I think you're right about that. She just wrote, "I made the cut."
Yeah. You always make the cut, Sherry.
Matt said it. Don't forget, it's also WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia.
Oh, well, there you go.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's another horseman of the apocalypse. Yeah.
Brennan said, sadly, I think some of your older shows have been lost on Facebook now, I think.
Really?
No, actually, they're not, Brennan. I'll key you in on a little secret on that. What happened was when I actually started to do the show, that's just to make sure everybody's there. When I actually started the show, I actually started broadcasting it on my personal Facebook page. And I did that for about 2 months, I think, and then switched over to the show's page. So that's the reason for that. But yeah, all the episodes are there, and actually they are saved. And yeah, it's and Ross always likes to remind me when I say, well, we've done like 229 episodes. He's like, well, maybe maybe give or take a couple. There are some episodes that have been lost, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon the episode that you're referring to.
Yeah. And then, of course, is the one where we did the television show theme songs where the algorithm kept shutting us down.
That was like 5 times over.
The suits kept shutting us down. And some of those segments, it's funny to go back and watch them because some of those segments, they still exist, but there's total silence when the music's playing. They took the music out. And then I think there's one that went missing out of the 5 or so segments. So we're just taking this whole segment as evidence. We're putting we got it in a file in our bathroom.
Yeah, that was placed aside. It was almost like a warning.
Yeah.
That was so much fun, and that we did that actually like 2 years ago. If you can believe that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
I don't want to get you imperil the show or anything, but
no, not at all.
It was fun doing it. I wouldn't mind doing it again, but again, I don't want them to shut you down.
The only thing is,
rebel.
If we were to do that again, we would not be able to broadcast that episode on YouTube because what would happen is it wouldn't fly.
Wow, did it fly that time? I mean, we were going though. We were like Thelma and Louise. They couldn't stop us. Yeah.
No, we were only on Facebook for that. We weren't doing YouTube.
Oh, we weren't on YouTube at all?
Not for that. No.
I don't know. Oh, YouTube. Oh, YouTube. Yes. We were on Facebook. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
they bring out the big guns on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean the one time, in fact, Captain Phil always likes to remind me when we did the very first episode, which was on April 3rd. And that's the other thing. We were originally going to celebrate this episode on Friday the 5th, but we got postponed to the 7th. The show premiered on the 3rd, April 3rd, 2020. Captain Phil I had on as the very first guest, and what we did was we talked about One Step Beyond. And when he was on for that, he played music that was by an original band, original music from a new band. And what happened was it got flagged for like 20 seconds. They didn't take off the video, but what they did was they muted that 20 seconds of music.
Yeah. Well, we fought the law, Roy. We fought the law, and the law won.
Phil is saying, did you guys ever discuss the animated Saturday morning stuff like Herculoids and Space Ghost?
Space Ghost.
Space Ghost loves Space Ghost. In fact, that was Gary Owens back in the day that did Space Ghost. No, we have not, Bill. That's something that we probably could do and would be a lot of fun. And Matt's saying about Far Out Space Nuts. Love that show. I said launch, not lunch. Or I said lunch, not launch.
There's the other one that was with what was the other one with Ruth Buzzy?
That was Far Out. No, that was Lost Saucer. That was
Lost Saucer was the other one, right?
Yep. Jeff, thanks for joining, and thank you for your wishes. Appreciate it. Jeff is joining us from out in Utah. He's saying happy anniversary in the comadaradity. Yeah, wow. We do need another James Bond.
It seems like we just did a James Bond episode, but okay.
Yeah, we could do another one in the near future. You know, it's interesting. I was thinking of oh, wait a minute. What did Jerry said? Have you guys? No, we have not done that. And interesting about Korg 70,000 BC, the one woman that was in that show, she was a regular. She was a guest star on Star Trek in a third season episode, and it was That Which Survives, the episode with Lee Merriweather. I don't remember the actress's name, but now that you mentioned that, Jerry, about that episode,
should do coffin stuff is what we should do.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially now that it's legal. Go ahead. Never mind.
What
did that say? What was the comment? I'm sorry, I didn't mean I talked over it.
That's okay. Don said all the Croft shows are free on Tubi, at least at the moment. So that would be good.
Free is good.
Yep. And Brennan said, have you done Land of the Lost?
We did.
Yes.
We had Wesley.
Wesley Ure. He was a guest on the show.
Yeah.
That was 3 years ago in May. I can believe that.
Wow.
Yeah.
What happened? We were sizzling that first year. Now we're just coasting.
Here's some moments with Mike and Mary Beth that over the years we've done the crossovers.
There I am as Edward G. Robinson and Soylent Green. These are our Halloween crossover, or that one is our Halloween crossover on the right.
Yeah.
And she's Velma.
Yep, Velma from then I was Koenig from Space 1999. Mike.
I think Mike was with Pirates of the Caribbean there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had that hat. The tricorn.
I like
and you have yours. Is that? Oh yeah, that's not the Sandman. That's Commander Koenig, right?
Yeah, that's Commander Koenig.
Yeah. This the other shirt you used to wear all the time was like the Sandman from Logan's Run.
Right, that's right. Good memory. That's funny. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then speaking of the very first episode that was for Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner, because when I started doing this, it was called Remembering Science Fiction Television Shows of the 60s and the 70s, which really was a very limiting title. Because we really are branching out besides talking about the 60s and the 70s. I mean, we talk about 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I know Ross doesn't really want to go into the 90s, and I really don't want to either. I mean, occasionally we'll do the 80s, but it's not good to limit. And so anyway, the title of the show was shifted. I got to give credit to Shari out there because she, came up with the, with helping me with coming up with the title. So the first episode that we did on the show, it was with Mary Beth, and it was Moonraker, and it was on the show's official page as opposed to my Facebook page. And the irony is, I had approached Ross about doing this.
And Ross, yeah.
For you folks out there that know Ross and how we how everything has gelled the last 3 years, Ross actually said to me, because we hadn't really like spoken, we were catching up on everything.
Yeah, we hadn't spoken in like 34 years.
Yeah, and I was inviting him to come on to do the show, and he's like, oh, "Well, I haven't read the book."
I hadn't read any of the James Bond books, and I didn't know anything about, I'm a very casual Bond viewer, and so I didn't want to go out in front of all these, all these pointy heads out there who know their Bond, like act like I know what I'm talking about. I would have been prepared, Roy. It's like now I'm over prepared. But go ahead.
But anyway, so what happened was Ross declined my offer. And then what happened was I reached out to Mary Beth and I said, "Would you want to come on?" And she was like, "Sure." And then what I did was I sent her the notes I had on Moonraker, and then she watched it and she crammed it all in to be my co-host, my guest co-host. So
yeah. And then I came on the next week and did Star Crash. I said I could handle Star Crash.
Bill said, or William said, "Your word is your bond, Ross."
There you go. I didn't realize that it was the that would have been the first show in the new format, though. So before that, you were doing it on YouTube?
No, I was doing it on Facebook.
On your personal page, you were doing
exactly. Yeah.
And then you started this page with the new name, and that could have been a nice, clean start to my era. But no, I had to screw it up by saying, "No, I don't think I can do it."
Martin remembers the pigeon. That's right, Martin.
Yep. Yeah, because I watched that week just to see what it was all about. And then when I saw how effortless Mary Beth was, I said, I could do that. I said, she did a good job. I could do that. Yeah. It wasn't as intense as I thought it might be.
It wasn't, Ross?
No, I didn't have like, there weren't like super villains coming after her or anything. So I said, all right.
There you go.
Odd job. I didn't see Robert Shaw try to take her out. So I said, all right. Yeah.
So then, as you said, we wound up doing Star Crash.
Was that my first appearance there?
Yeah.
There you go. Look at that beard.
In fact, when your opening when your opening line was the debut of your Corona beard. I think that's
my Corona beard. Yeah. Well, that was the whole purpose of the show, was the pandemic. I mean, you were the one that put floated the life raft so that we could all be here. All of us, we're all housebound, and we all had love of science fiction in common. And you created this platform where we could all come on here. And it was fun because then I realized very quickly it didn't matter what we did, because everybody would be commenting on the side. They'd be having their own show on the side. Somebody would say something on the camera, and then it would just, people would spark off of that and create their own little conversations on the side. It was always a lot of fun to go back and look at that after the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good night, everybody.
Jerry said Mary Beth was Dr. Boyce to Ross's Dr. McCoy. Brennan said it is becoming difficult to find more shows and movies to discuss now. I loved your recent, more obscure choices, by the way. Thanks, Brennan.
No, there are plenty of movies to talk about.
No.
Have we done obscure things recently?
What was that?
Have we really done obscure things recently? Or
we've changed it up. I mean, we've done a lot of mainstream. I mean, we've really, and that's part of the reason too of wanting to go into, into the 80s. I mean, I love the 80s. I mean, we grew up in that era, and there's so much good stuff. But the 60s and 70s, truth be told, I probably enjoy the 60s more than the 70s, but I really like the 80s as well. But 60s is probably my favorite. And then the 90s, not so much. And then it really just my interest kind of dwindles in the 90s also. I don't mind doing 50s too. Absolutely. It's just that there's certain trends, and then once you do certain kinds of films, it seems like there were so many other imitators, or it created a genre, and you wind up doing the same. You got to mix it up. You come back in a few months and do another alien invasion movie. No, you definitely do. Jenny, thanks for saying happy anniversary to us. And I know, and Jenny's joining us from Australia, so today is tomorrow there. So have a great day tomorrow.
Yes.
And thanks for stopping on. She's probably on her way to work right now. So if
See,
not half.
that's the thing. You started this, and you have viewers from all over the place. You got
Yeah, which is
not
really
just
cool.
not just here on the East Coast, but all across the country, in Canada, in the UK, in the Antipodes, in Australia, and that guy from Hell, Norway.
I knew you were going to say that.
He's my favorite.
If you hadn't said that, as Sherry said, I would have thought you were a pod, Ross.
That guy is my favorite. Yeah, I didn't even know what was going on because I don't read the comments while the show's going on. And,
Right.
but I knew something was up because the way you got real quiet, and you
But
were.
I have to say, our viewers were defending. And
They were there. There was a lot of drama there. I missed all of it. Well, at least until the tail end when you told me what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not unusual where I'll go off and I'll start talking about some aspect of the movie and you just glaze over. But I know you're doing something else. You're like reading comments or getting a slide together or something. But
I'm trying to multitask.
Yeah, it was a whole other level with the guy from Hell, Norway, though. And then the chat girls showed up once.
Chat girls, oh my god.
Yeah, that was fun too.
That was crazy.
I like the quirky stuff. When strange things happen like that, like if we had the earthquake during the show, that would have been something to document. Not that I'm wishing for another one right now.
No, knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Nothing strong enough to crack plaster. Yeah. Or make the stove explode. Yeah.
Martin said you have to do a show on the series that were one season and done.
Mm.
There's a few of those actually.
Yeah. Well, we want to do Planet of the Apes from the 70s.
Yeah, we'll be doing that, and we'll probably wait till September, maybe. I mean, we could actually do it earlier. It doesn't really matter. The Hague is going to actually come on with us for that because he is a huge Planet of the Apes fan. So pretty much promised him that. So that'll be good. And the interesting backstory about that is that that was the reason why Space 1999 did not make it into network because they had their own show, which was Planet of the Apes.
You're talking it out, Roy.
I know. I was waiting for you to say that.
But the thing with the TV shows, I mean, we love doing them, but the thing is that if you're gonna, like we did Night Stalker, we needed so many weeks to be able to watch all the episodes and be prepared. So it takes a little prep time. I mean, unless we know the shows really well already, and then we can just kind of loosely talk about. I think we did that with $6 Million Man. I knew I wasn't going to go back and watch all those.
No, I mean, when we have shows,
incredible,
right? And we have shows like that. I think it's really probably good that we just cover the pilots, and then we could reference other episodes. Yeah. But it's really getting to the core of what the show is about. I mean, obviously, a show is going to progress as it develops.
Yeah.
But especially these shows that have a multitude of seasons. And to Brennan's point, I mean, if it's a one season. Or excuse me, to Martin's point about doing a show that has only one season, if it's like that, then we could watch 10, 11, 12 episodes, as long as it's not something crazy. I remember I had Bruce on Playfair from Canada, and we talked about the Canadian series that Doug Trumbull actually produced, and it was called guys, help me out here. I think it was
Starlight?
Starlost?
Starlost. Yeah, I think so.
Starlost. Yeah. And let me tell you something. That was a painful show to go through. I watched all of those episodes because and this was back when the show really, I mean, it was the first season of the show. It was probably within the first 10 episodes. And I went through those, and it was like a downhill progression.
And yet we watched all of Quark.
But to be fair, the intent was good with Starlost. I think it could have been really, really good, but it was not meant to be. But
yeah, the thing about the pilots though is, I mean, it gives you a focus, but a lot of times the pilot is not really what becomes the essence of the show. It's like the kind of the amorphous, the primordial, it's what the seed for the show. And once the show kind of blossoms and becomes its own thing, then it's often very different from the pilot. But yeah, but in the case of something like Incredible Hulk, it was interesting to kind of take that and say, and then the show became this, But
Yeah, that's a very good example.
is that a good example?
No, it is a good example of what
For
you're
as
saying.
inarticulate as I was.
Hey Jeff, no, Jeff saying that there
Yeah,
was a little moment when I
yeah,
Jeff, that was fun. It was great having you on there, and we actually had a lot of fun talking about the Omega Man.
the Omega Man. Ooh. I'm triggered.
Ross is still shuddering from that. Brendan is talking. He says, "I liked when Roy went to Taco Bell during the show."
Yeah, that's fun.
Actually, it was the drive-through at the whatchamacallit,
Starbucks or something.
Starbucks. The
Yeah,
whole thing with that was I lost. Go figure. We lost power here,
yeah.
and I was determined not to cancel the show. So what happened was I went into their parking lot, tapped into their Wi-Fi, but but to be on level ground, and to be cool, and everything
Above
was
board. Yeah,
on above water. What I did was I went through the drive-through while we were broadcasting, and I ordered a coffee.
yeah,
In fact, I watched that episode today. I was watching a little bit of that, and
yeah.
it was a mocha. And Ross was like saying, "Oh my God, that's why he doesn't get any sleep. He's up, all the
You're
time."
right. You're right. Yeah,
Remember that?
I do. And they needed the publicity.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, drinking mochas at that hour.
Williams said the anthology series science fiction theater from the early '60s is an interesting series too. Yeah, that would be kind of cool to check out. Let me see. Matt wrote, Ross with the COVID beard is the mountain forbidden to men. No man has ever walked atop Sinai. Then behold, he is more than man.
Just in time for Passover, Matt.
Unbelievable.
I was up on Mount Nebo. Yeah.
Martin said Fantastic Journey would be a good one. We did, didn't we?
We did do that. Yeah. I just read that James Cameron wants to remake it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. He's not going to have Raquel Welch and Donald Pleasance, though.
Yeah, sadly.
Or
Jerry
Stephen
said that
Boyd. Yeah.
in regards to Star Lost. Yeah. Yeah, he went by his pen name, Cordwainer Bird.
Yeah.
So, hey, Gordon, thanks for the happy anniversary message. Thank you, Gordon. Appreciate it. Yeah, that was something, because he was all on board with that, and well, Doug Trumbull also. I mean, special effects genius. And then look what happened with him. He bailed out too.
Mm-hmm.
Fred, welcome. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. I also saw Corey's out there too. Corey, I believe, is joining us from Canada. Welcome, Corey.
Or Carrie. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Carrie. My bad.
Yeah.
I gotta get new glasses. And he said Star Lost was so disappointing. Yeah, totally. And Brendan is saying you could do Interspace. Yeah, that's another one actually.
We didn't do that one.
No.
Oh, you know what we did? We did Fantastic Voyage, I guess. Somehow we were talking about Interspace. We must have done another Joe Dante film or something. Yeah.
Yeah, we probably.
It came up somehow. Yeah. Or I had just said I had just watched it for some reason. Yeah. Watched it again. But I wouldn't mind doing it at some point.
William said Ben Bova wrote a novel about his experience with Star Lost called Starcross. We're checking out for a chuckle. No, definitely. Thanks for that. Yeah. But some of the other things that we covered on the show too. Special effects Academy Award winner Brian Johnson back in the day. I mean, Brian came on the show. That's coming up on 4 years. It was in June of 2020. And so detailed, so humbling to talk to him too. I mean, he's just a really great guy, very, very nice. And it's just crazy that was that long ago.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Pretty good snag there. Pretty good catch. We've had a couple of Academy Award winners on the show over the years.
Bruce Walshin was on, Emmy Award nominee for visual effects supervisor. He's done a lot of episodic television. I believe he was involved with The Outer Limits. I believe also with Stargate series. So it was really cool to have him on there as well too. Um, and then also David Frankham and Jonathan David Dixon. I mean, Jonathan's been on with David many, many times. In fact, this was the first time that we had them on, and that was back in, again, 2021. So that was really cool. Gordon said, "I'm actually surprised you haven't dedicated a show on Starlog magazine. That would be an amazing show running mainly through the 70s and 80s." Well, one thing we do, Gordon, is I actually do a Starlog tribute with every episode, or try to do every episode. It really depends upon if the Starlog actually has information in regards to what we're covering. For the most part, especially with the, as you're saying about the 70s and the 80s, the information is there, and I try to tie it in. Because Starlog magazine, as I always like to remind the folks out there, which everybody pretty much remembers, that was our go-to source. I mean, we did not have the internet. So Starlog, I mean, waiting for that issue to come out every other month was really, really a fun thing to look forward to. Back at Walden Books, Ross, Palmer Park Mall.
Back at Walden Books. I didn't realize it was bi-monthly. I thought it was a monthly. I just know I got it whenever I saw it. Yeah, which was all the time.
Yeah. In fact, the movie we're going to be talking about, and I actually have a slide set up for later, but issue number 4 is going to be, there's a nice article in here about the movie we're covering tonight. And this is from back in the day. I mean, $6 Million Man, Oscar Goldman, and the Bionic Woman. But anyway, we had Jimmy Simpson on the show. Jimmy was great, and Jimmy's from the area. I mean, that in itself is so cool. Shari actually worked on with him a couple of times. He did live theater with Bill and everything at Country Gate Playhouse, which was so cool. That's where he got his start. And the fact that he's done what he's done and everything is really, really cool. Yes, that was the Nick Cave issue too, Gordon. You're absolutely right.
Wasn't he on? Was he on Westworld at the time that we had him?
He was. Yes. Yeah. Really down to earth guy too. I mean, and just very friendly. In fact, the T-shirt that he was wearing was Hot Dog Johnny's, which is down the road.
There you go.
Here too. Let's see. Brent said you couldn't publish Starlog today. There's barely anything to talk about.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy talking about Starlog? I was just thinking about this before the show. The last Starlog issue came out it was, I think, 2008 or 2009. It's literally been 15 years since the last publication of that. And I remember I actually got a copy of that at a video store, and it was at not the Hillcrest Shopping Center. It was in Phillipsburg Mall, not realizing that was going to be the last one. And so much history. I mean, so much stuff that, we really, as a reference, went to, and just so sad that that's gone. Yeah. And they used to actually have like a storage area or something where you could they had it set up that you could actually get the back issues. And then supposedly that, and then the other magazine that they handled as well, I guess there was a fire, and the majority of those back issues were lost.
Really?
So, yeah. So the only way you really can get a copy of it now is if you go on eBay,
right,
and you're hunting. And of course, if it's like Starlog number 1 or number 2 or one of the earlier ones, you're going to unfortunately pay higher price. But the other ones, you can find pretty reasonable. Yeah, I think it was. No, you know what? I don't know if it was Future Life. I think it may have been something else.
What, that they ran? It
wasn't,
not Fangoria.
Was it Fangoria?
I don't know. Somebody did Fangoria. I
think it was. I think that's what it was. It wasn't. I think it was Future Life.
I was not a big gore guy, so I was not a fan of the magazine. But I think it might have been Fangoria. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, Martin's saying Omni. No, it wasn't Omni either. It was
Omni was Time, I think. Did Omni? I'm not sure about that either though.
Yeah,
I'm just spouting stuff now.
Off the top of our heads.
Yeah.
Hey, Eva. Eva's joining us. Thank you for the happy anniversary wishes, Eva.
Hey, Eva.
My God, Eva and I go back a long ways. I mean, I've known Eva since back in the 5th and 6th grade of Low Pat. our low pat days. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for being out there. Don't worry about being late. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
We were late too, Eva.
Cineflex.
Cineflex. What was the other one? Cinema Fantastique.
Cinema Fantastique. Yes, and yeah, that wasn't related to Starlog, but yeah, I remember that magazine.
Yeah, all the good stuff back.
It's another one I enjoyed reading.
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
And Ralph Sinensky was on.
Yes.
Ralph actually celebrated his 100th birthday last May. I believe his birthday is May 1st. So he's going to be 101 coming up next month, which is pretty amazing. And if anybody has not checked out his website online, definitely do it. I mean, Ralph his knowledge and his memory is it's like a steel trap. It's amazing, all the details he remembers and everything, but definitely one of the highlights. And Gerald Friedross.
Oh yeah, another Academy Award nominated composer. Yeah. Did he didn't win though for or did he? For that no, he was nominated for the one about the nature documentary. I can't remember what it's called now.
I forget too. Yeah,
I've got the soundtrack for it here somewhere. Yeah,
he did
but
a lot.
Yeah,
Star Trek, Gilligan's Island,
and Roots. He worked on Roots with Quincy Jones. So yeah, he was a very interesting guest. He had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and sadly,
yeah,
I was just going to say, sadly, he passed away shortly not too long after he did the interview with us too, being on the show. It was, I think, several months after that. I want to always, give a thanks to Edwin Thrower, because I mean, he had put us in contact with Gerald, and again, super nice guy. Was going through some form of dementia at the time, but he was very engaging as a guest and just sharing his experiences. In fact, Ross, wasn't he friends with Kubrick?
Yeah, he grew up with him.
Yeah,
they were in high school together.
Right.
They're on the same softball team or baseball team, and he scored all of Kubrick's early films, actually, before Spartacus. I think Spartacus was the one that he didn't do because the studio didn't have faith in what he could do. But he did Paths of Glory with Kirk Douglas, and he did the two of the early ones are pretty often seen. The Killing, I think, and and I guess Paths of Glory are the two that get shown. The Killing was a heist movie at a racetrack with Sterling Hayden.
Sterling Hayden, yeah.
Yeah. And everybody else that's in the noir films. Marie Windsor, and it's a good movie. But he did the music for it, yeah.
Yeah, he did so much, and
he's kind of a cult figure. I was really pleased to actually get to talk to him.
Yeah. Definitely gonna have to go back and watch some of those earlier episodes with those interviews. Gordon mentioned just a little while ago about Nick Tate. Nick, I mean, I actually back then, I guess Nick's been on the show several times, but the first time I had him on, I think he was on for over 4.5 hours, and then another time he was on for like 4 hours and 45 minutes. It was and I remember you said that you were watching, and then you went for dinner, and then you came back and you're like, what?
I said I'll come back and watch the rest. Thank you. Surely he's wait, the time is still going up. They're still on. This interview is longer than Lawrence of Arabia. That was crazy.
My goodness. No, it was
that was legend.
Yeah, and you talk about, somebody that's got the memory and like a steel trap of all the details. It's incredible. Yeah, Deborah's even saying Nick Tate was my favorite guest. Yeah, that was pretty odd. In fact, I joked too after that, because I say that right after that, that's when I got my kidney stones, because I didn't go to the bathroom.
TMI.
Yeah, TMI. Hey, Ron, thanks for joining. Thank you for the happy anniversary wishes. Deborah saying
Sterling
Sterling
Hayden
Hayden.
hot. And then of course he was the bartender at that party that Matt and I went to. We
Oh, that's
think.
right. Oh my
We think
God.
on College Hill.
I forgot about that.
Unsubstantiated,
Yeah.
but in our collective memory, Sterling Hayden served us drinks. Underage, of course.
Of course. Only you and Matt. Martin said you have to do a walkthrough of all the soundtrack CDs that Ross has. Yeah, that could be a show and a half right there.
I'd be happy to do it if you wanted to do it sometime. I mean, we wouldn't get through all of them probably, but I'd be happy to if everybody just wants to tune in and watch me talk about the different soundtracks I've got. Bore y'all to tears. Oh, this one's interesting because but I like watching other people do stuff like that, even if I'm not interested in whatever their obsession is. It's just the fact of the obsession is what's interesting. You know, collectors and what they went through to get the different items in their collections, and
That's so true.
Nobody cares.
People would actually like it. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah. Scott saying congrats on your 4th year at it. Always a fun time. Much appreciated, Scott. Good times. What's another one I'm going to share real quick here? Yeah, David Hirsch from Starlog Magazine being on. David, David's a personal friend, and it was really good, getting to know him, and his knowledge, is amazing. Mark Cushman. Mark has not been back on the show, and I wanted to have Mark back on. He wrote the Star Trek books. Mm-hmm. Always want to give him a plug for that. So, folks, these are the voyages. There you go. Mark Cushman, he did the 3 years of those. So, great source material. Good, behind the scenes factoids. And then also, of course, Dave Rash, who actually I got to know, and Dave lives just right up the road. He's in he's in Pennsylvania, and he got us in contact with Dominic Stefano, and Dominic's been on the show many times, which has been wonderful. It's to talk about the Outer Limits. So Dave is really, if you are an Outer Limits fan, Dave is really like the keeper of the gate when it comes to anything Outer Limits. And he's done so much working with Dominic and Dominic Stefano's family, because Joseph Stefano, who was a part of the show and wrote so many scripts and episodes. This has been outlined in the second book that just, I believe, is coming out, or it is out, or it's going to be out very shortly. In fact, I have to have them back on again. And it's really hard to believe that The Outer Limits has actually celebrated its 60th anniversary, because that debuted in 63 and went until 65. So it's 60 years right now. But yeah, very cool. And Linda's not out there tonight, but Zardoz.
Yeah, that's when the show was hitting its groove. We did Zardoz.
Well,
good to see it again. Yeah,
some folks would say this is when the show was really hitting its groove, Ross.
that was a fun. Well, you still had a sense of humor then.
What was that?
Yeah, I said you still had a sense of humor then. When I did Santa Claus versus the Devil, you totally shut it down. Which I didn't understand the difference between the two movies, but somehow I crossed the line that year. I squandered all of my capital that I built up recommending Devil Rides Out. It's like, oh, that was really a good movie. I never heard of it. Okay, let's do Santa Claus versus the Devil. Okay. What was this movie? You will never choose the movie again.
Oh boy, Corey love Zardoz. Yeah, Zardoz is memorable, and James is saying Zardoz is such a guilty pleasure. Lots of laughs.
Well, I immediately had to go out and buy the DVD after that, because every time I'd seen it was on television. I think we saw it in college too. I think they had it, but
Oh,
Yeah,
there
I
you
didn't
go.
own a copy until we talked about it.
Thanks so much, Dave.
No, that's nice. Thank you.
Much appreciated. And
Yeah.
again, like I said, Dave is the keeper of the gate with all things Outer Limits. It's he's done some
Whenever
great.
we do one of these things, I always think, oh boy, that was torturous. And then I go back and watch it. That was actually pretty entertaining. So, why are people tuning in? This is terrible. That wasn't bad. It was kind of fun.
I know Ross is always like so worried, and he's always like saying, "Oh, we're gonna mess up the audience with some of these things." And I'm always like laughing because the stuff that he'll choose with some of the stuff, and then I'm thinking you're worried about the audience. It's such a contradiction.
It's fun to talk about bad movies.
Yeah, it is.
It's more fun to watch them in real time and then talk about them. But
Well, this is true.
yeah. Oh, there you are through the drive-through there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep. And that was April 30th. So that's literally coming up on 3 years ago already too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
What's more entertaining, the drive-through or that beard?
Probably the beard.
That's what Sterling Hayden looked like when Matt and I knew him.
Are you serious? Really?
He had that big beard, you know. If we knew him, unsubstantiated.
Of course, it's not substantiated.
Yeah.
Hey, Colin. Colin, thanks for joining us. Colin, in fact, I just want to let everybody know to wish Colin a happy belated birthday.
Yes.
Yes. So happy birthday, Colin. Colin's birthday was this week.
And I like your new profile pic, Colin. I meant to mention that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. He said Michael Dante show was a memorable one for me. Yeah, that was a fun time too with Michael on. That was great. I mean, his wife was on with too.
The drink episode. Darby O'Gill. Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Yeah,
that's right.
Our first St. Patrick's show. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also, what movies did each of you choose? Totally regretted later. Oh boy, that's what
you mean what movie did I choose that Roy regretted? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? I don't know. Did we choose any movies that we regretted later? Like, I mean, there were some movies that we watched that I really didn't want, that I didn't like, but I regretted them before I watched them. I mean, I knew there were things I didn't want to revisit, like Meteor, which is probably very early on.
That was one of the first ones. I think that was right after. That actually, Ross, was probably right after we did
Star Crash.
Star Crash, yeah.
Was that early? Yeah.
Yep.
I was not fond of Meteor. There was another one. Yeah.
That movie actually didn't. That could have been a lot. That could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk it out. We already talked it out.
We don't need negative. You're leading us to a dark place.
In regards to regrets, it's probably what was it? Santa Claus versus the Devil. I'm going to probably say that one.
I like that one. Yeah. I bet you lose eagerly awaiting the Devil Ham comment though.
Joe Brick. Hey Joe, thanks for joining. Joe's another a friend back from my fifth grade days from Lopat.
Omelet.
Yeah, Omelet. That's right.
You made the movie with him. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So very, very cool. Thanks for being out there, Joe. Appreciate it.
Joe.
And let me see here. Colin said cheers. Oh, this is so true. Don saying about, is it too soon to mention Matilda May?
Yeah, I didn't regret rewatching that one. Even though it's a pretty, I think I like the movie better when we did it than when I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
It was a pretty weak movie, but I enjoyed watching it again. Yeah.
Shari's saying, I miss seeing the cats going up and down the stairs when you did the show from downstairs.
Yeah, me too. That was fun. Watching them debate and then dash up the steps.
Yeah, that was cute. So anyway, we're gonna. I actually have a surprise guest that's going to come on in probably like in about 2 minutes. So before I bring him on, I just want to say thank you again to everybody for your support. And we're just going through. Now, one thing I am going to do is there's so many other shows that we've done and so much that we've done over the years. I really concentrated the slides on the first year that I just put up. So there's been so much that has taken place in this last year. One thing I want to do is I want to give a big thank you to Jeffrey Morris for helping me, helping us doing the revamp of the show's opening credits. I mean, the new credits for the show are amazing. So again, a big shout out to Jeffrey for that. So much appreciated. And then also just everybody else that has been on, and topics that we've had, and just the people that are out in the audience with the viewership. And we know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and when we were actually more isolated, people were more at home and able to watch. But we do get a lot of viewers that are actually watching us on the rewind, or the rerun, I should say. So your support of the show is really greatly appreciated, and I really just want to say thank you for that. One thing I want to do is I just want to share some of the folks that have actually purchased our official T-shirt that we are wearing. And there's actually some other folks out there that actually have the shirts, but I didn't get photos in time. So we will be updating that again in the near future. So just wanted to say thank you for that as well. And let me take this off. And the next part of the show, what we are going to do is we are going to be discussing the movie. And again, the movie that we are going to be discussing, it's the 1953 classic, It Came from Outer Space. And I had actually never seen this movie, which is really ridiculous because I've been so aware of this movie for so many years and always wanted to see it, but just never took the time. And I would always say, oh, I'll see it. I'll get to it. And it just didn't happen. Sadly, as folks know, we were talking about it earlier, the actress that starred in this film was actress Barbara Rush. And sadly, she passed away last weekend. So as a tribute to her, I thought it would be nice to discuss this film. And also, just want to let everybody know that Chris Hunter, who is her son, is actually just going to come on for about 10 minutes just to just talk about Barbara. And just want to thank Chris for being out there. And I'm going to bring him on in one moment. He's waiting patiently. Hey, Chris.
Hey.
How are you?
Okay. How are you? Good to be here.
Doing well. Doing well. Thanks for coming along.
Now I'm interested in Santa Claus versus Satan. The devil. Like Peter's Door, maybe the later years, which you fell on hard times. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it just went out. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second. I'm in front of my phone. You need to see me. There we go. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it's good to be. Oh, by the way, I wore my shirt. Here, check it out.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
there you go, huh?
Nice.
Terrific.
I've got that lobby car too up on my wall.
Oh, wow.
The Came from Outer Space.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you for your condolences on Mom. Yeah. Yeah, she died last Easter Sunday, actually. So, anyway, I got to say something. Came from Outer Space was a great movie. Written by Ray Bradbury, right? And one of the first movies that didn't portray aliens in this evil manner.
Yeah.
It's about these aliens whose ship broke down and they had to fix it, man. You know what I mean? But they're so hideous. I got to tell you, the guy who designed those aliens was genius, because when I was a kid, it was made in 53 and I was born in 52. Anyway, when I first saw it, I was scared to death of those aliens, So anyway, I love that. She made two great movies. She made When Worlds Collide, and which is a great movie, George Powell. Yeah. And I built the Ark. I built that rocket designed like Chesley Bonestell. But I always loved It Came from Outer Space, really.
And it was interesting too, because I had forgotten that Russell Johnson was in that film as well.
Yeah, as a professor.
Yeah. So
sure.
But yeah, to your point about the film, though, I mean, it was really against the stereotypical aliens. They're monsters. I mean, they're evil. They're here to destroy us.
Right.
It wasn't like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers that would
come out not at all
later. It was totally different in regards to that.
One thing, maybe you guys could help me. I'm trying to look for an original 3D, black and white 3D version of it, because I've got those old-fashioned, red and blue glasses.
Mm-hmm.
and I've never found it. They never reproduced it on TV in 3D.
I think that there is a version of it, a reissue where they may have done that recently.
Oh, really?
Google it and see if I can find it. I'll send the information to Roy.
Oh, that's great.
But
Yeah,
I think I just came across it this week. That
because I've got the glasses, but it's that old fashioned 3. You know, the red.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do 3D in now, but it's not that. So
No, it's totally different. But your mom's career, though, Chris, amazing. I mean, just everything that she did. I mean, and this movie really, in regards, she won the Golden Globe Award.
Right, she won a Golden Globe. I don't know if they have that category anymore. That's she was the best newcomer.
Yeah.
You know? It's funny because she married a man named Warren Cowan, who was head of Rogers and Cowan Public Relations. And I don't know if you've ever heard of these guys, but they were the biggest PR firm there was in Hollywood. They literally own the Golden Globes, because what the Golden Globes is a Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that's how you get a Golden Globe. You pay off the Hollywood Foreign Press. That's a tip if you ever want to get a Golden Globe. Yeah. No, seriously. It's a lot better now, but it used to be really corrupt. It was great. Warren would get his clients Golden Globes right and left. So
the politics.
Yeah.
Stuff that takes place behind the scenes. I can't believe that this movie is a 72-year-old movie, though. Just or 71-year-old movie, though. Watching it, though, it's crazy, and it really, again, it's not your typical monster of the week.
Not at all.
No.
The great Ray Bradbury wrote the whole thing, and I just love his whole perspective. You know, what would happen if they had to you'd have a pit stop, for their flying saucer,
Mm-hmm.
And I've always loved it. I always said it was a great movie.
Yeah.
Now, did your mom ever share any stories about being in that film with you at all? Or
No, not really. I was so young when it came out, and no, she really enjoyed it though. She was proud of it.
Yeah.
She was proud of Worlds Collide too. I thought that was a great movie. To a lot of guys, I had a lot of Facebook friends who just saw Worlds Collide and they really love it. Yeah.
That's something that we haven't covered on the show that we'll probably do in the near future.
Yeah.
Just in regards to that. In fact, we have a mutual friend that had commented about Leslie. I'm referring to Ross. She was even suggesting about that.
Mom used to read to me sci-fi when I was a little boy, and she also was on Batman as a villain.
I remember that.
Yeah, she almost killed Batgirl with a poison crochet knitting needle. With those two, the Amazon women and everything. I really was proud of that. Yeah, that was a real honor to do that. In fact, Sven Gulli they showed Came from Outer Space on Sven Gulli, and he had a song about her screaming throughout the whole thing. It's really an honor.
I saw that on your Facebook page.
Yeah, it's really funny. That she just screamed. Well, it was a mom's thing. That was the script, but
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it actually her scream though, or did they have?
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. She
could
cry on cue, and mom could actually cry on cue. Tears in the whole.
Yeah.
Like I think the guy in Little Rascals could do that too, Farina or somebody. But she could actually cry on cue, scream her butt off.
Yeah.
Right on cue. I've seen her do it. I was on the set watching her do a scene. She had to scream, and it just comes right out. So
it was a good scream. Yeah, I didn't know if it was something that they had in the sound library.
No,
she did the quintessential '50s scream.
Maybe she won the Golden Globe for a scream. I don't know.
Maybe.
My son is out there, Rye. Rye, thanks for joining us. And he said, "Oh man, the old school 3D is a classic." So
yeah.
And Colin is commenting. He's saying it was on Legend Channel the other week here in the UK, black and white, but wasn't 3D.
Yeah, they don't show it in 3D, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wish. Yeah, so I'm going to try my hunt for that copy.
I also remember your mom doing a Bionic Woman episode back in the day.
She's. Let me tell you, Mom. Here's the deal. You want to know my family rundown? I'm Michael Knight's half brother. She's Garth Knight and Michael. She's Michael Knight's estranged mother and Garth Knight's mom.
Okay.
His evil twin.
Oh wow.
David Hasselhoff's evil twin, Garth Knight. She's Bionic Woman's mother. She's Magnum PI's aunt. She's what else, Joe? She's we were going through it the other day. She's related to all these people. But I always thought it was funny that the Bionic Woman's my half sister.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, and she almost killed Batman. Almost that far away. Yeah.
Chris, did you get to have the opportunity to go to the sets, or do you have any
Sure.
recollections of doing that?
I didn't go to that set. I was only 1 year old when Outer Space came out. But sure, I went to a bunch of her sets. Flamingo Road. You know, I knew Morgan Fairchild real well, so I went to Flamingo Road quite a bit. And Mom, that's a series she did. It's a big, you know, it's like Dynasty or something, you know.
Right.
And Morgan was in that. Let's see what else.
She did
I didn't go to the Batman set, unfortunately, but
She
yeah,
did-
I've been to her sets.
She did Peyton. Didn't she do Peyton
Peyton Place.
Yeah.
She did Peyton Place. She did. I'm thinking who else she was famous. I remember. Oh, I went to Knight Rider set. I met Hasselhoff. I met David. That was fun. Yeah.
Jerry just commented. He said, "I loved Flamingo Road."
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah. In fact, I'll give you a thing. It's my picture in Flamingo Road on the table in the living room because they couldn't find a picture of this guy, Woody, who's the son, when he was a little boy. So it's me. It's my big moment in fame on TV. I said, look, that's me in the picture. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though. See, you're on the celluloid.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm immortalized now.
Growing up, did you ever have any gumption as far as getting into acting, or was that something that you ever wanted?
Not really. It's very difficult, man. You know, I mean, it's hard. No, I want to be a cinematographer, so I went to AFI to study cinematography. And I became a photographer. I worked for Rogers. I was a photographer for about 30 years for Rogers, a PR photographer, basically. But I worked for Darren Aronofsky. He and I got very close, and some good people there at AFI. Also, I just want to say I am the first Trekker.
Yes, you are.
Officially. I'll tell you why. Because in 1964, Dad, I was in the, with Jeffrey Hunter with my dad, and he had the Cage script on the seat. And I said, "What's this, Dad?" And he said, "Well, Christopher, I'm doing this show that's like a wagon train to the stars. It's called Star Trek." I go, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's a sci-fi. I'm a captain of a ship, and there's 200 people, and we do this and this." And I started reading it, and that day, October 1964, I became a trucker. That was 2 months before they shot the pilot.
Wow.
So nobody's got any kind of Trekkie thing on me. I'm the first one.
No, in fact, it's crazy to think too. In fact, we'll be probably doing a special show about it later on in the year. But with the Cage, it's actually the 60th anniversary.
Yeah.
Coming up this year that the Cage was filmed in the latter part of this year.
Yeah.
So that's, and I had this photo that I gotten. Yeah. And
I've lectured on it. Have you ever heard of Star Trek tours in New York? I've lectured twice there on the Cage.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they showed it. James Cawley, the guy who runs it. He showed the Cage, and then I talked afterward on it. And it's a whole thing why Dad didn't do the series. It was because of his second wife, who was, I don't want to talk about it. But I mean, it's a bad memory. Yeah. But he should have done it, and I'm sorry he didn't. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, your dad is will always be remembered for that one role that in Star Trek for us folks that are Star Trek fans.
Mike, yeah.
I mean, his performance was amazing, and
thank you. They had me come down to Comic-Con to give Anson and the Mount a pep talk, And I did. And I said, "You're going to be great, Anson. You're going to be great. I'm right behind you. And I want you to know I don't do it like Dad did. Bruce Greenwood was great." So I thought Bruce Greenwood was great as Pike because he didn't try to be Dad. But that's who Pike was. And when they did a big lecture, had 6,000 people in the audience, Anson had me stand up with a spotlight and go, "Chris Hunter came down here to give me a big pep talk. And I just show his support. And I'm so grateful." And I was very embarrassed, but that's okay. Anyway, yeah. As far as Came from Outer Space, one of my favorite. If my mom wasn't in it, it would be one of my great, favorite sci-fi movies. Wonderful sets, wonderful ship, and everything that they did, and the way they shot it, and those aliens were awesome, man. Those aliens scare the crap out of you.
I know, and I had. So many times I thought about watching this movie and it just never came to be. And I would always say, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to catch up with it. I'm going to see it."
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, I kind of put it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the discussion with the show is like, okay, I'm finally going to, watch it.
Yeah.
And it was really enjoyable. I mean, and it blows my mind that it's 71 years. That's
1953. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I just want to thank you for coming on. Sure. I don't want to hold you up, and I'll definitely like to have you on in the future, and have more.
Call me when we all screen Santa Claus or the Devil with Pia Zadora when she going on hard times, and she had to make this. It's an adult movie, So. Okay.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Sure.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, that was great.
See, he would have liked the movie.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. I'm glad he actually took the time to be on and watching us. So Brian's smiling out there too.
So the son of Barbara Rush and Jeffrey Hunter. Yeah.
We've
had him on before. What did we have him on? Oh, because we talked about The Cage before. That's why.
Yes, and actually, I actually had the opportunity. I didn't get a chance to talk to him about it just now, but when I think it was in 2017 or 2018, because I actually wound up. It was funny. I wound up meeting up with him. We were both, Sherry and I were heading up to go see to the Star Trek set tour, and we were in New Jersey. Made a stop, the rest stop, and then actually Chris was there. Talked to him for a little bit, but anyway, to his point, he was doing a discussion and talking about everything regarding The Cage and how everything was. And really, really nice. And he did a great job with, speaking with the audience and everything. And it's when you think about it, getting in front of people is a little intimidating too. But it's the stories and the memories that he shares are very well respected. And, in regards to especially Jeffrey Hunter, he made such an impact in regards to Star Trek. And I know
I didn't want to hold him up, so I didn't interject anything. But of course, Jeffrey Hunter was in a lot of, he's in some major movies too.
Absolutely.
But even about insights about the movie itself, I figured we'd bat it back and forth a little bit, and I didn't want to hold him up, with some of the stuff. But it was such a nuanced movie. I had seen it before because I was in the 70s, I was like a Creature double feature guy. So every Saturday I'd watch the Creature double feature. It was always Dr. Shock,
Dr. Shock Theater.
Dr. Shock, Chiller Theater and Horror Theater or whatever. And you very quickly realize as a kid, like every once in a while they drop in the 50s like saucer people movies. And it's like, where are the werewolves and vampires? You very quickly learn that there aren't that many good like monster movies. So they would always go back to the 50s and do these alien invasion movies. So that's the first time that I saw It Came from Outer Space, and I've seen it, since then. But it's such a nuanced movie. It came out the same year as War of the Worlds and Invaders from Mars. So as Chris was saying, it is a very different approach to the extraterrestrial. You know what I mean? It kind of predated that softening of the what is it? The liberalization of the acceptance of the aliens that we had with movies like Close Encounters and E.T. Like later, where they, instead of being bug-eyed monsters, which they very much were in this movie, they were friendly. I think there was enough ambiguity in the movie that we don't really know for sure that they were friendly, but the fact that they made that goodwill gesture of releasing the hostages or what have you, there's a pretty good chance that they were, as we know, the ship was broken down and they were just passing through and they meant no harm. But there were enough ambiguous statements like, well, it's too soon for us to tell you anything. You're not ready for us. And, that's for another time and we'll be back and all this other stuff. So we don't know what their ultimate designs were. But go ahead.
No, I totally agree with you because it was left kind of unclear. It was implied, and it was left enough where we can't communicate with you right now. We can't. You're not in a good place. And if it was almost like if we go beyond this where we're at right now, it's not going to end pretty. It was almost, that's pretty much what it was kind of being stated.
Which was fascinating because even the human characters were unusually rounded, because you always have, there are different kinds of different approaches to this. There's always like, you send the clergyman out to whatever to like greet the aliens and they'll fry them or whatever, or the scientist is the first to go, or, there's certain tropes, certain cliches in these things. And in this one, and there's always like the lynch mob. There's always like the conservative lynch mob that wants to like blow up the aliens. But in this one, it was shaded. They kind of convinced the sheriff to kind of cool his jets a little bit. And even though, in the end, he lost it and wanted to go destroy them. There was a degree of humanity, involved. Yeah, I mean, it was all very believable. They weren't just stereotypes, which I kind of enjoyed. Although I love the opening. It's like it was so 1950s. All right, so the guy's there in the desert. He's before a crackling fire by candlelight, smoking his pipe in his tweed jacket with the patches on the elbows, with his immaculately dressed girlfriend, like looking up at him in admiration. Yeah, and he just had his big check because he turned in an article or something. I want to know where this guy. Oh, now we can have the outside of the house redone because I had my article published. I want to go back to the 50s. So this guy has everything, and then that meteor hits, and it's not enough for him. He's got to go check out the meteor. So I kind of like thought that, is this like a parable of the Garden of Eden or something? Because he's living in this kind of perfect prelapsarian existence where before the fall, and then he goes after the forbidden fruit of the meteorite. And then when the girlfriend gets taken over, suddenly he becomes aware, there's all skin, she's no longer all covered up. She's all, so there were all kinds of like stuff going on in this, all kinds of stuff going on in this movie. And as usual, we're always tempted to say, well, does this have something to do with the, we know our neighbors, it is we're in the prosperous post-war era. And yet there's like all these anxieties like roiling around beneath the surface. And we know our neighbors, but do we know our neighbors?
Right.
Are they our kind of people? Or are they commies?
A lot. Yeah, exactly. It was a lot of high tensions were brewing, so to speak. So interesting enough, Jeff Rubel, he just commented, he said, I just realized that the aliens look a lot like the Bringers of Wonders on Space 1999. Interesting enough, Jeff, I have to agree with you with that. In fact, now I'm just going to fast forward to one of the slides I've got, but here's an image of the alien in the middle. So it's kind of like the one-eyed monster, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, they had the bug-eyed monster.
Right.
Yeah, but one-eyed. Yeah. With a little Pac-Man pupil.
Exactly. To Jeff's point, this is the monster from the Bringers of Wonder from Space 1999.
Yeah, close.
It really is. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Jeff. I definitely picked up on that, and very, very similar. But yeah, definitely a lot of hidden meanings, especially for the era, and interesting points too, Ross, about the way they were acting, the way they were dressed, if they were the aliens. Yeah. And to Chris's point, essentially this whole thing, and I'm not going to go into the plot. I know some people are waiting for that, but it's just that this ship that crashes is in the form of a meteorite. It appears to have been a meteorite, and the lead, John, who is the love interest of
Richard Carlson, is that who we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about Richard Carlson. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, Richard Carlson's character, who's he was John. He goes down to check it out, and when he goes down there, he comes upon a hatchway. In fact, I think I have an image of that, and this image is no, you know what? I don't have an image of it. I thought I did. It's one of the images that I actually remembered seeing in the Starlog magazine. And it was driving me crazy because I always like to reference, I was saying to Gordon earlier, I like to give a reference to Starlog. And I knew I had seen it. And sure enough, it was. And it's like this hatchway. And they use that image of like this bubble effect. And when he sees it, it's like the person is like engulfed in that bubble.
Mm.
And it was interesting too to read how they did that, Ross. I guess they were almost using like a bubble foam, but they had to shoot it very quickly because then it would just kind of dissipate.
Mm.
But anyway, that really triggers everything. And then he there's like a quake that's taken place, and then he's trying to get back to the top, and then the meteor or the ship actually gets buried, and that's when everything just starts to happen. Where
you're doing the plot.
Yeah, I know.
I saw right through that. You're not dealing with any one-eyed space monster, Roy.
But anyway, here's some scenes from the movie, and and then again, there
she is in her alien form, where suddenly she goes on the left. You see she's got the dress and the scarf and everything. And then as soon as she's the alternate form there, he takes the bite of the forbidden fruit with the meteorite, and suddenly it's like, oh, what have I discovered here?
It was interesting too, because he keeps calling her, and her name is Ellen. He keeps saying Ellen, and it's almost like I was surprised that he couldn't tell that it wasn't her, especially after he had seen that the other people that were taken over, that were compromised, they weren't acting themselves. It's like he didn't pick up on it right away, or maybe he didn't want to. Maybe that's the other thing. So
there was some. I mean, there were a lot of things that were picked up in the 50s. I mean, it was kind of a precursor of Invasion of the Body Snatchers in some sense.
Absolutely,
in that they would take over people in the town, and the people would behave differently, and but not as Chris pointed out, wasn't so sinister. And in fact, they may very well have been, if not friendly. I mean, they as far as they didn't want to be your buddy, they were not antagonistic or trying to hurt anybody,
right?
That we know of. Although they had the capability to do it, it was kind of more of an extension of Day the Earth Stood Still with Claw 2, except they came here specifically to deliver that message. Here, the ship crashed supposedly, and they had to. We know there was something wrong with the ship because they all the electrical equipment was disappearing from the hardware store, and they took over the guys working on the wires, the electricians. One of which was the professor from Gilligan's Island,
right?
Which this was directed by Jack Arnold, who also did
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, he did Gilligan's Island, and he did Creature from the Black Lagoon. He did Tarantula.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, did a lot of those movies.
Incredible Shrinking Man. Yeah. So he. What was the other film we saw with? What's his name? Russell, the professor. Was it This Island Earth he was in?
This Island Earth, yeah.
Yeah, he actually played it. I don't know if Jack, I forget if Jack Arnold directed that one there or not. Though. That was a George Powell, I think. But he may have produced This Island Earth. Was that a George Powell? I may be mistaken.
Yeah, George Powell. I think he did This Island Earth.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken. It seems like When Worlds Collide is the only George Powell movie we haven't done. But so it had some of that body snatchers going on there. Steven Spielberg must have seen this movie when he was a kid. because it had some of that close encounters stuff going on with. We got to like seal this off and come up with a story so nobody comes out here. Very close encounters. And when they release all the hostages at the end, it reminded me of when the mothership lets
Yes.
everybody off the mothership. Also, it reminded me of Them because of the setting with the desert, with the giant
Right.
ants and what have you.
A lot of similarities in regards to that. Interjecting really quickly, Bill Williams saying, nope, that was Joseph Newman who directed Island.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks for clarifying that. Pam made a comment. She said, I have to rewatch while this discussion is fresh. I love it. And Pam, thanks for joining us too. Appreciate it. She also commented before and said the Cold War, your neighbor could be a commie or an alien, sci-fi in the 50s. Very true.
Yeah. And what was really interesting about this one, though, is it wasn't so like, the 50s were very, they're stereotyped as a kind of a conservative era. So the approach is always like, oh, it's the aliens. We got to like fight and kill them or whatever. And if you're like in any way, liberalized toward it, you get like the heat ray. Like if you're they come in peace, and then you're like a pile of dust on the ground there. This was more nuanced. You had the guy who was the amateur astronomer who was convinced that they, were probably friendly, or at least not a threat. And then you had the sheriff who, of course, wanted to protect the community. He wanted to do his job, is what he wanted to do. But his idea of doing the job was getting together a posse and blowing the place up. but there was nuance. It's like, he came around to see the other guy's point of view for a while. But it's funny, it's the 1950s, so even the liberal guy can only go so far in that direction, and he starts shooting everybody up.
Well, and he even got into a fight with the sheriff is Charles Drake.
Yeah.
What was his name? His name was Matt. So Matt got into a fight with Richard Carlson, who was John, and then he pulled the gun on him, and he even said, I was sorry, but I had to stop you because he was going to go after the alien. And the whole thing is, the game changed when they got Ellen, and he knew that if he didn't do what they wanted, that potentially she would not come back. And the aliens were not being threatening, but they were implying that they could be threatening, and they potentially could. They could kill if he did not follow the instructions. And it was going back to the early conversation in the show where it's like, we just need a few hours. We just need a few hours.
Right. They weren't warm and fuzzy. You know what I mean?
Right.
They could have been friendly, but they were not warm and fuzzy friendly. It was kind of like, but Klaatu was like that too. He brought the tough love. Right. It's like, if you don't do this, we're going to come back. We're going to blow you up. So you better make peace. Yeah.
Liz commented, said that first slide is also the view that a Dalek sees in Doctor Who. Oh, okay. You know what? I'm vaguely remembering that. Thanks for pointing that out, Liz. And Liz, thank you for being out there tonight too, and also Colin as well. And then any folks I haven't mentioned beyond that in regards to the UK, because I know it's now 5 hours later than it usually, because they just had their daylight savings time. We were 4 hours apart. Now we're 5 hours apart. And I know it is a Sunday night, so thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah.
Jack Dealey's out there. Jack, welcome. He's saying, happy anniversary. Thanks so much for the ride. The show has always brought the goods. So grateful for the information and revelations each episode delivers, not to mention the laughs. Here's to continue good times. And thanks again to you and Ross for expanding on the topics we all love. Thanks so much, Jack.
Thanks. It was very nice. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
William saying, poor Charles Drake always played such dull characters, always a stick in the mud. Interesting enough. And, when I heard the name of, let me just get to the slide. I'm a little over the place here. When I heard his name right away, I was like, wait a minute. I wonder. Has to be. So all roads do lead to Star Trek with Charles Drake, because he was Commodore Stocker. If anybody remembers the episode, The Deadly Years.
Yeah.
He's an episode when the crew aged. And so there you go.
Yeah. So he was an interesting character. You know what I mean? He wasn't like all one thing, They could have stuck with the stereotype, and it was just very well filmed. It was well lit. They did all kinds of very interesting stuff with it. And then at the end with the whatever that thing was that they were using for an engine or for their source of power, it's like, well, we could use this to power the ship, or we could destroy everything with this cone that they put on the front of the ship, or what have you.
Well, that was the whole thing too, because they weren't going to let them go, and he pretty
Yeah.
much said that he would convince the posse, but he said in order to do it, he would have to let Ellen go, also let the others go as well. And then when his double ganger, so to speak, was calling him out on it, so how can we trust you? And he said, well, you can destroy us. I mean, you've got the power. So
Right.
he was going to really make up, come through for him. That
Yeah.
Think about it though. Can you imagine? I mean, I know this has been dealt with in a lot of television shows. I mean, Lost in Space. I'm a big Lost in Space fan. I mean, they used to do it a lot with the double gangers, but could you imagine actually being in a discussion with yourself or seeing yourself? Or, I mean, you know how bizarre that would have to be?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
That was a common trope going back to at least 19th century German literature. It's fantastic literature. They were always encountering doppelgangers of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is bizarre. The one thing in the movie that made me go, huh? I mean, it's a great movie, and they did a great job with it. As Chris said, it was based on a Ray Bradbury concept story. It's like, why did John Richard Carlson, why did he even tell the sheriff about where they were? He could have just kept that secret, because it's like, you just knew as soon as he told him that there was going to be an issue later on in the movie. But
Right.
I guess there'd be no drama then.
Yeah. Well, there would be no, right. That's just
there'd be no conflict. Yeah. It's like he didn't have to tell him, because he goes, oh, where are they? Okay, I'll tell you. But promise me you're not going to cause any trouble.
and that's not going to happen.
It's like, yeah, he comes around. But then, yeah, I think he gets worked up because Ellen's captured,
Right. That was the motivating factor.
He gets together his lynch mob. Yeah.
Thank you, Eva. Much
Thanks,
appreciated.
Eva. Thanks.
I missed a comment by Shari earlier. She said, haven't seen it. Was there a shower scene? No, there was no shower scene.
No shower scene. But boy, they make a big deal out of how deadly the desert is. First it's mysterious, and then it's deadly. Yeah.
Well, and they didn't they film this at Mojave? I think parts of it.
Is that where they did it? I didn't get to read any of that.
I think so.
I basically watched the movie and thought about the themes and
yeah.
It's, but it was one of the more intelligent, alien invasion movies of the 1950s.
No, it definitely was, and
more thought provoking, more nuanced, more layered. Yeah.
In regards to the cast, Richard Carlson, sadly, he died at an early age. He was only like 65 when he passed, but he did a lot of movies and television.
I didn't realize he had. Somebody commented on my Facebook page that one of my followers who had seen it in the movies when he was a kid, and he loved Richard Carlson. He was like, he still can't get over the fact that I guess he died in 1977 or something. And they did one of those things where they look back at the people who died that year, and of course they had, I don't know, like Charlie Chaplin and all these famous folks who died, and he was upset that they left Richard Carlson off. But I didn't realize. Yeah, I didn't realize that he had done the voice for some educational films and like scientific educational films, like about the circulatory system and that sort of thing. And we were still seeing films like that when we were in grade school. You and I came up at kind of a transitional time where you had all that old stuff that was still being used in classrooms, even as they introduced new things. And I wonder if we saw any of those Richard Carlson films.
We might have. And it's funny you were mentioning this, and I'm going to, this is for, Eva's out there. And if Joe remembers too, that I remember we're in Lopat. What they did was the way they had everything set up, at least it was an attempt to be more modern. And again, this is like what, 40, oh my God, we graduated from 8th grade in 1980. So you're talking 44 years ago. But they had what they called the pod areas, the pods. Mm-hmm. And what would happen is you would have these areas that were where you would walk through the library of the school, and you'd have this area that was off to the side, and it had like a like, I don't want to say, it was it was almost like a pit, and it would have like 3 or 4 steps to go down, and it was in the form of a square. And what they did was they would show film strips there, because I think they were just starting to introduce the what was it, the VCRs at the time. But we would watch these educational films, and a lot of if it wasn't for the VCRs or the videotapes, they were pulling out these old time projectors, and they were showing the reel to reel of these movies that were educational. And a lot of these films were shot in the 50s or the 60s. So it probably was him, to your point, in regards to him, because a lot of that stuff was 10, 15, 20 years old. And at that time, it was in the 70s. You are going back to the mid 50s or even the early 1960s, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
I know. We were getting a lot of the same stuff my parents, were getting in school.
Yeah.
Or at least my mom. My mom was pretty young. Yeah.
Real quick, Liz is interjecting. Have to go now. It's almost 2 a.m. here. Just wanted to say happy anniversary and thank you, Roy and Ross, for all the enjoyment and knowledge that you've brought over the last 4 years. Thanks also to the other viewers, as the comments section is always a fun place to be. Thank you so much, Liz, and thanks for hanging in there until 2.
It's people like you that make the comments section fun. When you guys are batting it around in the comments. So thank you.
Yeah. Much appreciated. And Christian is also out there. Christian is, hi, Roy and Ross. Happy anniversary. Thanks also for this one. It came from outer space. It has always been a favorite. Rest in peace, Barbara Bush. Yeah. No, thanks so much.
Barbara Rush. Yeah. Now, Christian, you're right in the path of the eclipse. You're going to get to see totality. If it's not cloudy tomorrow, you're going to be able to see the whole thing. Montreal's right in the, for our Canadian friends, if you're in Montreal, you'll be able to see the full, we're going to get partial where we are.
We're going to get, I read that we're going to get about 90% totality.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're in Cleveland, if you're in Rochester, Buffalo, Montreal, in this part of the United States, North America, that's where you're going to get the totality. Oh yeah, that's what it looks like. Did you get glasses? Did you get the...
We do have glasses, yes.
All right. I got a hold of some just tonight, so that was good because I couldn't get them in Princeton, but I got a hold of some in New Brunswick. So.
Oh, that's good though. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was 97. Barbara Rush was 97. Jeff, she passed away on Easter Sunday last Sunday, which was part of the reason why we wanted to do the show too, just kind of to remember her. And yeah. Yeah, it turned into kind of a whirlwind discussion because, we were celebrating our anniversary too, so we didn't get to talk too much about the movie, but we don't want to go too late. Yeah, because it is a Sunday and everything. Mm-hmm. But we'll start to wind it down. And one thing I just wanted to say too, I was talking about Starlog magazine before. So if you are a fan of Starlog, issue number 4 actually talks about. There's an article, Science Fiction Movies in 3D. And this, I believe, was the first 3D film that Universal put out, if I'm not mistaken, from what I read.
Yes. Yeah, it was a kind of a landmark. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it was the first 3D movie. I'm not sure, but it was the first Universal.
Universal, yeah. Matt's reminded me of something. He said, man, I'm going to have to make a pin box viewer. I remember those from the 70s.
Yeah.
Crazy. Lou said we won't even notice the eclipse here in Rhode Island because it's dark here all the time anyway. Wow.
Some places you could get the glasses for free. They're only a few bucks if you can find them somewhere, but you got to make sure they're not counterfeit. Right. If you can see through the glasses when you hold them up, then don't use them because you're not supposed to see anything through them unless you're looking at like a light.
Be very careful
and just kind of see like a little bit of light. Yeah.
Shari said it's supposed to be cloudy tomorrow, unfortunately.
Yeah. Is it cloudy or partly cloudy? Is it going to be cloudy?
I don't know. I haven't checked it, but
I saw the last one in 2017.
Well, it's funny because Ryan and I were talking last night about that. Now Ryan's going to be able to see it because he's down in Texas.
Oh, he's in a good spot for it.
Yeah. So that's going to be pretty cool. Dennis said the total eclipse reminds me of the Black Sun Space 1999. Yeah, it does. Absolutely. So true. But oh, just the other thing, some of the actors that were, of course, we were talking about Richard Carlson, Barbara Rush, Charles Drake, who we just mentioned, Joe
Yeah.
Sawyer, Russell Johnson. Russell Johnson was like 29 when he was in this.
There you go.
I was cracking about Kathleen Hughes. Now,
Yeah.
she was only in like one scene.
Right.
She was put on the the major on the guest cast list.
Yeah, and absolutely, yeah. She's the
She
biggest.
basically was the new. They were hoping to turn her into like the Marilyn Monroe, the next
Yeah,
Marilyn Monroe.
she. If you look at the poster, she's the biggest. She's the largest presence on the poster. Where they
I know. It's again,
Yeah.
and interesting enough too. Barbara Rush and her had did a screening of this movie, I think about 10 years ago, and it's on YouTube. You can check it out. And she is still alive. I believe she's 95 years old.
Huh. Did you get her double entendre when she talked about George's appetites? Yeah,
No,
when George went missing, and she made a remark. Oh, it's unlike him. He has such an appetite, or something.
Yes. I'm sorry.
I thought, wow, for 53,
Yep.
Because she was very, very, she had something about her.
Yeah.
There was no questioning what this scene was about. Yeah, or her dialogue.
Read between the lines.
Yeah, her dialogue. Yeah.
Yes, the professor before he got stuck on the island. Exactly, Dennis.
I know, and the only guy in the movie who wasn't a professor. He was the electrical engineer or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But going to the music portion, Ross, the composer.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know anything about he was the music supervisor. So he was the guy that if it had won any kind of awards, he would have accepted the award, kind of thing. But he oversaw the three fellas that actually worked on the score, and the most famous of those is in the center there, of course, is Henry Mancini. You had Herman Stein, who also was a known composer. He was born in Philly, but he did a lot of movies like this one where he didn't always get credit. Mancini is really the one that flourished. He blossomed and was able to get big A projects. This is kind of Mancini's what do you call it? His journeyman years. I can't think of what I wanted to say, but he, in 6 years he scored 100 movies like this one. He worked on Creature from the Black Lagoon. He worked on Tarantula. Things you would never expect the guy who did like the Pink Panther or Breakfast at Tiffany's got his teeth on these science fiction movies, but that's the case. And all of these guys studied with Mario Castelnuovo Tedesco in California, who also taught John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith. Castelnuovo Tedesco was an Italian composer born in Florence, Jewish composer who fled fascism and settled in California. Took off in 1939. The Mussolini's racial laws had already been put into effect in 1938, so he had no work. They wouldn't perform his stuff in concert. They wouldn't broadcast his stuff on the radio. And of course, things were rapidly disintegrating in Europe at that point. So he came to the U.S. and found work as a film composer in addition to being a concert composer. And he taught all these guys. Andre Previn was another, and Nelson Riddle. And so, So these are the unsung heroes. The other guy was Irving Gertz. And Irving Gertz also studied with Walter Piston, who I'm just talking to myself now, but he was a big American symphonist who taught at Harvard, I think. And he was one of his principal teachers. You would like this, Roy. Irving Gertz was the guy who did the score for The Leech Woman.
Oh, really?
There's another Svengoolie favorite.
Oh, that's historical.
Yeah, so that's the short version of who those guys are. But of course, everybody knows Henry Mancini from Days of Wine and Roses, Baby Elephant Walker from Hatari and the Pink Panther movies, and Victor Victoria.
Did a lot of different things.
And Life Force.
And Life Force. There you go. I think you're making that up.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but he did the music for Life Force.
Life Force. Oh my god.
But he's more versatile composer than people would give him credit for, because when they hear Mancini, you picture, something like Breakfast at Tiffany's or Pink Panther, kind of these breezy, quasi jazzy, easy listening kind of scores. But he wrote all kinds of music.
Don said you beat me to it.
He was going to say something about Life Force, I guess.
Yeah. Also, William said Herman Stein also wrote the famous family theme that was so effective in Lost in Space, which was really good.
He worked on a lot of TV. Lost in Space was one of the things he did. I didn't realize he did a recurring theme on there, though.
Well, there's that it's anytime they are like having a like a family moment, it's just this real nice melody that they would play. It was just it's very I don't know. It's just it's a family theme. I mean, when you heard it, you knew. It's like if Professor Robinson was having a talk with Will, or they were talking about why they have to do something that's important, something along those lines. It was just very family orientated. Very distinct, very very distinct tune. And I am not going to try to hum it, so I will destroy it.
I'll look for it. Yeah, those guys all worked really hard. The guys that work on these B pictures, like the science fiction movies and stuff, they throw them like in a room. It's like a sweatshop, and they got to score all these movies. They're not like John Williams or where you're going to get an Oscar, kind of thing, or a nomination. Yeah.
Matt said, "Happy 4th anniversary, many joyous returns. I'm looking forward to Santa Meets the Ice Cream Bunny."
Yeah, I know. That's one I kind of was trying to get, trick Roy into doing, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's much, much, much worse than any of the Santa Claus movies we've done so far. It's unwatchable, which is why I think we should do it.
I was going to say, if you're saying it's unwatchable, then I know it's that bad.
It's unwatchable. Yeah. You look for it on YouTube. It's awful.
Oh, Ross. we could probably get Chris to come back and the three of us could talk about it. Anyway, I'm going to go to the shout outs. If you have any last minute comments you want to post, please do so. And let me share the screen. And I will be there 1 second. There we go. Okay. So Mike and Mary Beth, we were talking about them earlier. Tune in for Sci-Fi Distilled. They are on Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Their next show will be this Wednesday, April 10th. And they are talking, what they're doing is they're going through the different television series of Star Trek, and they're talking about the best of Star Trek. Last week they did kind of the worst, and they will be doing that this coming Wednesday. I'll tell you, in regards to the worst, I don't know if classic Trek fans out there, but Mark of Gideon is on my list of the one episode I really loathe. I know there's a lot of folks out there that don't like The Way to Eden. I'm not a big fan of that either. I try to be a little bit more understanding about that episode because it's an episode of the times for the 60s and everything. It's not my favorite either, but Mark of Gideon is probably the one that I loathe the most, along with Plato's Stepchildren. That's just a thought. Anyway, also want to give a shout out to Bill and Country Gate Playhouse. My friend Bill Scarrato is has the theater back for its first season the first show of the year. It is Country Gate's 52nd season, and they are doing a kickoff with Neil Simon's The Odd Couple, and it's right around the corner. It's going to be opening April 20th. And it's going to be going until the 28th. For information about tickets, if you are in the Harmony, Belvedere, New Jersey area, you can go to www.countrygate.org. Also, please visit Bill's website that he has. It's www.billscarrato.com in regards to updates that are taking place and things that are happening. Definitely want to check that out. And then also want to give a shout out talking about Star Trek to Trek Condoroga. It is going to be taking place next month in May. It's going to be May 17th, 18th, and 19th. And the special guests will be Jonathan Frakes, number one. Also, LeVar Burton, Geordi, and Walter Koenig, who was Chekhov And then also Clint Howard, who was in the first episode produced after the 2 pilots, and he was Baylock, and he's going to be up there. So it's going to be a fun time. I'm actually going to be there doing 2 different presentations. One is going to be on Space 1999, discussing the 50th anniversary of the series. Also going to be talking about Jeffrey Morris's upcoming documentary. Want to give some awareness to that as well. The Eagle Obsession. And then also discussing the love of Star Trek. And it's coming up with the 60th anniversary of The Cage, which we were talking about with Crystal earlier. So going to be doing those 2 presentations. Hope to see folks up there. It should be a fun time. Also, William Shatner is going to be visiting Ticonderoga in July. Mark the calendar, July 12th, 13th, and 14th. And again, this is a Star Trek Original Series set tour. He will be appearing along with the Inglorious Treksperts. They will also be there as well, too. So again, mark your calendar. And the website is www.startrektour.com. And I was just talking about the Eagle Obsession, just to give folks awareness. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do so. You can track it at www.eagledocumentary.com. Jeffrey's made a lot of headway with this and just finished up doing some more interviews. In fact, he interviewed a classroom of 5th graders, which I think was super cool in regards to thinking back in terms of we were in the 5th grade, Ross, and we had a filmmaker coming in and talking about doing a documentary about, spaceships and things of that nature and, all the stuff that we love. I'm thinking back, wow, it's almost like 50 years ago. So anyway, that's part of the documentary. And again, definitely check it out at the URL. Also, Captain Phil's Planet. It is on WUSB 90.1 FM, Stony Brook, New York. The Captain schedule is on Fridays from 9 to 11:30 p.m. Definitely check the Captain out for information. Also want to give a shout out to our friends at Trek Talking, a Star Trek podcast. We appreciate their support. You can check them out on Facebook. Again, Trek Talking, a Star Trek podcast. In regards to Space 1999, the upcoming 50th anniversary is going to be taking place in September. The dates are from September 11th through the 17th of this year. For information about that, you can go to www.space199950years.com for all the informational updates in regards to guests and hotel information. And that will be in the UK in September. Also, I want to give a shout out to my son, Ryan, that's out there. He's got his website on and going, and it is Run by Ryan, Empower Your Run. Online run coaching service is provided. For information on this, you can register for free, but visit the website. It is www.runbyryan.com. And there's also different tier levels of pricing on there, but definitely check it out. I'm very proud of Ryan for his accomplishments on this. Also, a shout out to Martha for Studio One Thrift. If you're looking for quality, stylish, affordable clothing, you definitely want to go to Studio One Thrift. Their website address is www.studioonethrift.com. Be sure to subscribe when you go there, and you will receive informational updates. And again, there's a physical store location, which is in the Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania area, but you can also visit the website for information. And Ross, if you can tell everybody what you've got coming up in the next week.
Well, it's Sunday night, so all these shows have aired for the weekend. Let me just say, and I have no idea what I'm doing next week, so I'll just say Picture Perfect is the movie music show. Sweetness and Light is the light music show. And The Lost Chord is unusual and neglected repertoire, unusual and neglected classical music, forgotten stuff, underplayed stuff. And those are the times that they air. And you can stream them on KWAX at the URL that's mentioned there at the top of the ad. But I write about them on my Facebook page, so you can see what I did this past weekend, and you'll see what I'm doing in the coming week as the week progresses. If you just go to Classic Ross Amico, you'll learn more about them as we get closer to the weekend. And that's basically what I've got. I mean, why prolong it? Why prolong the agony, Roy?
Thanks, Ross.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, everybody, tomorrow is the eclipse, which I'm sure everybody has marked down and has put on their calendar. So definitely don't forget to check it out. Again, in the New Jersey area, they're saying it's going to be sometime between 2:30 and 4:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So we'll see. It's going to depend on what's going on out there.
The cloud covering. The birds will still get wacky though.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody will think it's nighttime. Yeah.
But just want to say, Dennis commented. He said, "Lap everyone. Good night. Don't forget to visit the
chat girls."
That was Brennan. I'm sorry, that wasn't Dennis. That was Brennan.
They're here.
Thanks, Brennan. Yeah. and Dennis said, "Congrats and lap everyone. Enjoy the eclipse if you're in the vicinity of it." So anyway, I just want to say thank you to everybody. We really appreciate you being on with us tonight and on this Sunday, and your viewership is appreciated. And yeah, it's been a great 4 years. So very excited. Yeah, we're going to be entering our 5th season next week. And with that said, we don't know what it's going to be yet. So stay tuned and we will let you know. I am going to be posting another video of just different moments that took place with the show. And it's going to be about 6 minutes long. So it's just different clips, different pictures that I different screenshots. Because I didn't get to cover everything. And not that that's going to be everything, but I didn't get to cover a lot just because we are on time. So I try to concentrate on the first year for tonight in showing different things. But anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Hun. Appreciate that. And Ross, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you have done for this show. And it's just fun. I mean, one thing I didn't get to comment about before, and I'll make this quick. It's just that, you came on as a guest host, but so many positive comments came through, and just, the camaraderie,
yeah,
and everything. It's been awesome. But more importantly, to me, it was just great that we got to reconnect after so many years and not having spoken. To me, that's priceless. So your friendship means the world to me. So
geez, thanks, Roy. You too. And it gets to be fun because we're not only talking about the movie, but there's that whole all the subterranean stuff going on, all the tension and the hatred roiling under the surface, and the resentment. And it makes it fun.
It does. Santa Claus Mark versus the devil.
and you have a good sense of humor, because I'll bust on you and you'll crack up. So that's you're not afraid to laugh. So
no, I'm not afraid to, and I love laughing, and I definitely
like
and just everybody too, just keep positive thoughts in regards to Squeaker. Squeaker's going through some stuff right now, so any positive vibes are really appreciated. I mean, he's holding his own right now, but he definitely needs some good mojo, good positive thoughts and everything. So it's he's only 9.5. Not that matters. He could be 19.5 and it wouldn't make a difference, but he's our little guy, and he's just but I know everybody's had their moments with different things, and everybody's got their things going on. But anyway, just positive thoughts for Squeaker. And as I always like to say, live long and prosper. And we will figure out what we are doing for next week. And we'll keep it real.
We always do. I'm here to keep it real, Roy. All right.
Thanks, man. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Good night.